Real estate is a great way to build wealth, but you can't do it alone. It's not just about buying properties. You also need the right people to help you make it work. But how do you know who to work with? How can you tell if the person you chose is the right fit for you, or if they're a scammer? One bad hire can cost you tens of thousands of dollars, or worse, completely wreck your investment. And I know because I've been there. It took years of trial and error, but I eventually figured out a system to build a real estate team, even if they're thousands of miles away. So in this video, I'll show you how I found my team members from scratch, avoided bad hires, and built a network that made real estate investing possible even while I was working full-time. But before we dive into all the details, in general, the best way to find a team member is through referrals. Your friends and family members usually won't refer you to someone if they're bad. And even if you don't end up working with their recommendation, they're going to be a great benchmark to compare others against. Having a starting point helps make this whole process a lot easier and also helps you avoid wasting time on the wrong people. But if you don't have a good source of referrals, here are the steps that you should take to build a solid real estate team. So the first key team member is going to be your real estate agent or your deal finder. So this person's job is to find potential deals for you, whether it's from the MLS, off-market opportunities, or through connections with other investors and wholesalers. But here's the thing, agents are everywhere, and it's really not hard to become an agent. All you need to do is pass a very basic test. So unfortunately, that means that a lot of agents who are out there aren't actually that great at their jobs. Most agents just focus on selling homes to regular homeowners. So they're going to emphasize things like the beautiful garden, or the school district, or even like the feng shui of the house. But as a real estate investor, these things don't really matter too much to us. What we care more about is this home in a good or bad neighborhood? How much rent can this property generate? Does the price to rent ratio actually make sense for cash flow purposes? Most agents don't understand these factors because they're not investors themselves. And that's why finding an investor-friendly agent is so important. So one of the best places to start is through a website called BiggerPockets. It's a platform for real estate investors, and many savvy real estate agents actually hang out there to showcase their expertise. So when I'm exploring a new market, I try to go on BiggerPockets or try to go on Facebook groups that are real estate focused and try to find agents that are in that city. And then I post questions like, hey, what do you guys think about this city? Can you tell me about which place I should avoid? Which zip codes are up and coming? And are there any spots I should avoid? So you're gonna get a ton of responses, usually from other investors, but sometimes you're gonna get responses from investor savvy agents. So these are people who know the market very well, they understand what investors are looking for, and they want to prove their value. So going through the list, you're going to get a lot of different replies. You're going to see some names pop up. If they're real estate agents, I encourage you to call them and just talk and see how they respond. Some agents might sound very cocky over the phone. Some people might not pick up the phone at all. But others may be very patient and very helpful. So from there, you're going to get a good feel of who you want to work with and who you want to be with long term. So once you find someone you like, let them know your buying criteria. And if you don't know how to analyze a deal yet and you don't know what your buying criteria is, go check out my video over here where I teach you how to analyze real estate deals. So from there, pay very close attention to how they actually send you deals. If all they do is throw you on some automated email list with random MLS listings all the time, then it's a sign they're not putting in too much effort. You want to find an agent who's actively looking for deals for you that match your specific needs. And if they don't deliver, then don't hesitate on finding someone else. Agents work on commission, and they only get paid when they close on deals. So if they're not actually sending you anything that's really good, then you don't owe them anything if they're not meeting your expectations. Now, the second key person you need on your team is your lender. This is the person who makes it possible for you to buy properties with just 20% down instead of having to pay 100% of the whole purchase price in cash upright. Now, if you're getting a regular, conventional 30-year loan, most lenders are actually going to have very similar rates and terms. But even these small differences can save you thousands of dollars over time. So that's why it's worth spending some time to shop around and compare. So the first thing you need to ask them is whether the lender can even lend in your target market. So just because you have a great lender that can help you in your state where you live, it doesn't mean that they're licensed to lend in other states. So when you're talking to lenders, ask them, can you lend in your state or the market that you want to buy in? What are the rates that you offer without points? So this helps you compare apples to apples, whose rates are actually better. Ask them what are your maximum loan amounts, and ask them if they need to do a soft pull or a hard pull to give you a pre-approval letter. So asking these questions will help you compare different lenders and help you narrow down the options. And in my experience, the best lenders often come from local meetups or through referrals. And if you're buying properties out of state, the agent that you're working with might even have a great lender that they can recommend for that specific market. And if you really can't find one, you can go online and look for online brokers. So these guys often advertise lower rates, but keep in mind that their customer service probably isn't the best. Some online lenders deal with so many clients that every time you call, you can be stuck on hold for 30 minutes and you'll never get in touch with the same person twice. So that means that this person may not know your file very well and then they go back and forth asking different questions and it's a mess. So that's why for me, finding a lender that I can communicate with very easily is just as important as getting the best rate. Because you don't end up getting frustrated every time you ask a question or to get a quote. So once you find a lender that you like, make sure you build a really good relationship with them because they can become a key player in your long-term real estate strategy, especially as you continue to buy properties and scale your portfolio. Now, the third and honestly the most important person on your real estate team is going to be your property manager. This is the person who's going to handle the day-to-day operations of your rental properties. So they're going to screen tenants, collect rent, coordinate repairs, and deal with those pesky 2 a.m. phone calls when something goes wrong. So essentially, they make your investment as passive as possible. And in my experience, the best way to find a good property manager is asking your agent for recommendations. So since you've already done all the work to find a trustworthy agent, chances are they're probably going to know good property managers who work well with investors like you. But that's not the only way. Another solid method is by searching for Google reviews. So go on Google, type in property managers in your target market, and start reading the reviews. Now here's a trick. Pay attention to both the good and the bad reviews. Some bad reviews may be just from angry tenants who were evicted, and that's honestly not a deal breaker. This just means they're doing their job. But if a bad review are from property owners who are complaining about poor communication or mismanagement, then that's definitely a red flag. Also, check how the company responds to these negative reviews. So is this just some random person talking out of their mouth, or are these legitimate complaints? How is the company responding to them? Are they taking accountability and offering to fix the problem, or are they just super dismissive and defensive? Their attitude here can tell you a lot about how they'll treat you in the future. And when it comes between choosing big property management companies and smaller ones, I've personally had better experiences with the smaller firms. Big property management companies that manage thousands of units often don't give your property the attention it deserves. Whereas the smaller mom and pop style firms managing between 30 and 200 units usually provide more personalized service. So you'll be able to contact them easier and get a clearer picture if something isn't going well. And when you're talking to someone, they're actually gonna know about your property and can tell you about any issues going on with it. So after you've made a list of potential property managers, reach out to them and see if they can manage the properties in your specific area. Because some property managers may only work in certain neighborhoods and avoid others, and some property management companies won't even handle specific types of properties like fourplexes. So then finally, test their responsiveness. Call and email them and see how quickly they reply. If it takes them days to get back to you now, then they're probably gonna be very hard to work with in the future. A good property manager is worth their weight in gold. So take your time finding one you trust. They're gonna be the backbone of your real estate business. Now, the fourth key person that you need on your team is your insurance agent. Every property you own needs insurance to protect it from unexpected events like fires, hurricanes, or something like a water heater flooding your place. Without the right coverage, a single incident can completely wipe out your investment. And when it comes to finding a great insurance agent, the first thing to look at is someone who understands rental properties. Now, a regular insurance agent might only focus on basic homeowner policies, but you need someone familiar with rental property insurance so that they can give you the right type of coverage. For example, there's long-term rental policies, short-term rental policies, builder's risk policies for when you're fixing up the property. And there's so much more nuances that you really want to go with someone who specializes in that field. So one team that I really found helpful is Steadily. Steadily is a nationwide insurance broker that specializes in giving insurance policies for rental properties. And they make the process super simple, and you can get a quote online in just a few minutes. All you have to do is go on their website, type in the property address, add some more information like the bedroom and bathroom count, and they'll spit out a quote. But what I like about them is that they go beyond this basic quote. They're actually going to go deeper and compare it to multiple insurance carriers to find the best savings and customize your policy so that you're not paying for things that you don't need. And another bonus for using a broker like Steadily is that they work in multiple markets. So if you're investing out of state, you don't need to waste time finding a new insurance agent for every target market you're in. That's one less headache to deal with. And once you found your insurance agent or broker you trust, make it a habit to review your policies regularly. Property values change and your insurance needs might change too. So staying on top of this ensures that you're not overpaying while still being fully protected. Having the right insurance agent will help you sleep better at night, knowing that your investments are covered. Now, the fifth person you want on your team is a good contractor. Now, while this one is optional, having a good contractor can make a huge difference, especially if you're planning to work with distressed properties or take on major renovations. Now, in the beginning, you can rely on your property manager to do some small fixes for you to bring your property up to rental standards. But down the line, if you want to make true wealth, you have to buy really torn up properties at low prices, fix them up, and get that instant equity boost and rent the properties at top dollar. But I'm gonna be honest, finding a reliable contractor can be tricky, especially if you're managing the properties remotely. but it's definitely doable if you know where to look. Now, one of my go-to strategies is to find good contractors using Facebook groups. Most cities have contractor-focused groups where local professionals post about their services. Now, these groups can be a goldmine, especially in bigger metro areas. You'll find plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, and general contractors all in one place. So here's what I do. I post a description of the job I need done, and within a few hours, I usually get multiple replies from contractors who are interested in giving me a bid. And from there, I narrow it down. I get quotes, and I even connect them with my property manager to help coordinate the work. Now, over time, by working on smaller jobs here and there, I've been able to build a reliable network of subcontractors for everything from plumbing to electrical to flooring. Once you have those relationships in place, you'll know exactly who to call for future projects. Having a trustworthy contractor team not only saves you time and stress, but can also save you money in the long run by avoiding costly mistakes or overpriced services. Now, I know that starting out can feel very overwhelming. Like, you need this massive network of people just to get started. But trust me, it's not as intimidating as it seems if you just take it one step at a time. You should be making your team based on this order right here. Start with an agent who knows the market you're investing in. Once you have that first person in place, move on to finding a lender, and then a property manager, then an insurance agent, and then if needed, a contractor. You don't need to figure it all at once. Build your team step by step, and before you know it, you'll have the right people in place to help you start investing confidently. Now, the way that I built my first team was by finding my agent through Bigger Pockets. And while I was going to live meetups, I met a few lenders who helped me fund my first deal. I then found an insurance policy by going online, but now I get most of my policies just by going to Steadily. And finally, I find most of my contractors by starting on Facebook groups. So hopefully, this helped break down the process of building a real estate team, even if you don't know anyone. And if you guys are interested in buying your first rental property, I highly recommend checking out our free rental property masterclass, the link down below. And now that you guys know how to build your real estate teams, the next step is to figure out where to invest. Not every city is a good market, and picking the wrong one can cost you big time. So check out this video right here to know how to find the best cities to invest in 2025. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.